Hudzy did want a best man, but he couldn't find one, so he got two slightly good ones instead.
Yeah. I think Hudzy was quite smart. He's quite cunning about it because he knew that if he did have a best man, that man would be best. And that's the cruel thing about the wedding. No matter who else is in the room, the best man is the best man by definition. Better than the groom, in comparison, is just a guy who wipes a horse down. That's just what a groom is compared to a best man. So Hudzy was quite cunning and decided that the only way to avoid that pitfall was to divide the job amongst the two of us. So I am therefore just the st man, and Mobster is just the bear. So that's the way it is. And well done, Hudzy. That's very smart. Very smart.
But of course, the thing about being a friend of Hudzy's is that you become instant friends with a massive collective of people. Shrade, Swappercrate, Gordo, Bigsy, Iggy, Pol Pot Boy, Lipstick, Murky, Tommy, Keza and Meza, to name but a few. Love me and love my friends is Hudzy's motto. And that's what's great about Hudzy. He demands loyalty, but he does give it back. He doesn't enter your life, he comes barging through the front door. But Hudzy means a lot to me. He's been there through good times and bad. He's always free with advice. Although sometimes he's not that great at taking it. Oh, well, I mean, there is a little story to illustrate that, because there did seem to be a little dissension in the room about that. There was one time Kirsty and I were living at Hudzy's place, and Hudzy went away to New York, flew away, visit some friends. And Hudzy had this beautiful pair of stock pots, and so we decided to use them as double boilers, and they got stuck together. Little vacuum kind of formed. We tried for 2 weeks to separate these things, separate these stock pots, and it just never happened. And Hudzy flew back in, and we told him what had happened to his stock pots, and he said, "I'll get them apart. I'll get them." And I said, "Look, we've tried all of these things. We've done this, we've done this, we've done this, we've done the whole thing." And then I said, "No." He said, "I'll sort it out." And I said, "Look, we don't. Look, no, it's not going to happen." And yeah, so we had bought him new ones at this stage, and we got up the next morning, and there was Hudzy, and he was standing there with the stock pots on the stove. The heat was on. He had a jug of iced water right there, and I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "What I'm going to do, I'm heating the pots up. I'm going to pour cold water in this one. That one's going to expand. That one's going to contract. I'm just going to pull the pots apart." And I said, "No." I said, "We tried that. It looked like it was going to end in tears." He said, "No, this is going to work. This is great. The ice, the water, the whole shebang." I said, "No, it's not going to work." And he's just like, "It's going to work." And so at that point, Kirsty distracted him and brought him into the lounge. And as we did that, there was this almighty bang. And we turned around to see one stock pot taking out the range hood and hitting the ceiling and demolishing the ceiling, and the other stock pot imploding the stove. And we were completely gobsmacked by this, and we didn't really want to imagine what would happen if Hudzy had kind of been standing there pouring ice water into this stock pot. So that's my little stock pot story. I'll pass across to John.
Thank you, Monster. That's probably one of the best stock pot stories I've ever heard. And how good is he at doing Hudzy, the Hudzy voice? One thing that Mobster forgot to, I don't know why you went straight past it, we're supposed to compliment the bridesmaids.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what do you mean, oh, yeah. It's a really serious task, and one that's fraught with danger, because if we under-compliment them, then that's really poor form, obviously. If we over-compliment them, our partners are there, and that would be poor form too, so it's a very dangerous line. So I think you guys are looking absolutely beautiful, absolutely. I didn't know Hudsie at high school, and I don't think there are many people in the room today that knew Hudsie when he was at high school, apart from the parents, etc. And so what I did was, thinking that perhaps Hudsie had some secrets, and that's why there's not too many people here from the high school days, I actually had a look on a website that they've got called Old Friends, where you go and look at high school pictures and stuff. And I found a fourth form photo of Michael Huddleston. It was a very humorous picture too. A boy stands in the middle, right bang in the middle of the photograph, in the second row with a massive mop, just a huge bush of curly blonde hair, sort of like a fro, yeah. Amazing fellow he did look like. Much the largest child there, I think, which is brilliant. And I sent a note to all of his classmates that had registered on this internet site where people from school get together. Hudsie wasn't one of them. He hasn't registered on there, I don't think. And I put out the word asking for some stories about Michael, or just some images and memories more than anything from when he was at school. And from the replies I got a picture of a young man, not called Hudsie or Michael, but a young man called Hud. Which I didn't realize that the Z has only come on in later years. He started just as a little Hud, and the Z came on, which is nice. First of all, I was wondering, were there girls at school? And the answer, apparently not really. Writes somebody called Lee Chan. All I really remember was he had a lot of mousy blonde curly hair. What's he like now? Obviously a great catch to be getting married. So I sent Lee Chan, do you remember her? He said she probably wouldn't remember, you probably wouldn't remember. I sent Lee a photo and she said, don't tell him, but he actually turned out to be quite a hottie. I said that was inappropriate because he's getting married. She said he wasn't that hot at college. But I think she's just trying to get back at you for you not remembering her. So don't take anything by that. What sort of style did Hud have back in those days? What was Hud a stylish boy? Maybe Kate could tell us, but Graham Dearcourt writes, everyone else had a school satchel or a backpack. Hud had an awful square suitcase, which was ceremonially burned at the end of the year. Also had a penchant for a manky tan waistcoat, which was worn with everything, apparently. Have you still got the waistcoat? Oh. A woman called Kate Bingham, calling herself Bing, continuing the tradition that none of Hudsie's friends have got their own real name, wrote that Hudsie was very nerdy until the 7th form when he came into his own. Which sounds ruder than it is. Tracy Irwin calls Hud a great guy. And this is much more like the Hudsie we know. Tracy Irwin calls him a jokester. Another character picks up the theme of Hud being a great guy. And the girl called Bing writes, the best stunt Hud did was when he covered a piece of wood in chocolate icing. There was a reason. It wasn't just late at night or anything. And submitted it for sale in a cake sale as a chocolate log. Unfortunately, said chocolate log was purchased by the vice principal's wife. So I think the message from Bing there that we need to be careful of is what's in the wedding cake tonight. Finally, Scott Snadden remembers. Do you remember Scott Snadden? Yeah, great. He remembers when Hudsie's sister worked at KFC Johnsonville, which I think is fantastic. And I want to know why my sister never worked at KFC. I was so ripped off. And Hudsie would go down and get a very large non-standard paper bag full of chips and a KFC chicken bucket, those buckets, absolutely full of gravy. No potato, just gravy. Is this true? Is this made up? Scott should be ashamed. I'm sorry that if this is made up. And again, when I arrived today, I was very pleased to see that the caterers were not wearing little blue uniforms. So that's quite lucky. So we get a picture from high school of a very nerdy, not that hot Hud with an old suitcase This is just the picture I'm getting. I'm not saying this, not from me. If you want to complain, I'll give you their email addresses. With a cricket bat, a bucket of gravy, and a chocolate log. So pretty much like the Hudsy we know today.